Chapter 1281 Seizure. Songjia Temple. The patriarchs of the four major families gathered in the Buddhist temple. In front of a huge table, only four patriarchs sat in four different positions. Even their closest guards were not qualified to enter. This was the highest-level meeting in the southwest region. The atmosphere of today's meeting was a bit serious. As the Chiba of Songjia Temple, Yashalangtai Deji had a stern face, with anger in his eyes that was difficult to conceal. His eyes fell vaguely on Paji Gesang, who was standing aside. What happened yesterday naturally could not be hidden from the patriarchs of the four major families in the southwest region. Lumen Oju and Xiaja Jatsua said nothing. This matter had nothing to do with them, so the two decided to wait and see how Yashalangtai Deji and Paji Gesang fought. Deji spoke first. Yesterday, the guardians of Songjia Temple were attacked while patrolling the border. The entire team was wiped out. Dare to attack the guardians of Tantric Buddhism in the Snowy Plateau, these people must have been bewitched by the devil. Their crimes are unforgivable. At this point, Deji turned his eyes to Paji Gesang. Master Paji, according to the information I got, those people later went to your Paji family. Is this true? The eyes of the three heads of the family fell on Paji Gesang. Those monks were nominally from Songjia Temple, but they followed the orders of the Yashalangtai family. This is a well-known fact. But Deji attacked Paji Gesang in the name of the Tripa of Songjia Temple. It depends on how Paji Gesang responds. Paji Gesang frowned. Oh, there is such a thing? How come I don't know anything about it? Lumen Oju curled his lips. You are still pretending to be confused at this time. You are really a master at pretending to be confused. Deji's face was a little cold. So, those people have nothing to do with the head of the Paji families? Paji Gesang laughed, put his hands together, and chanted the Buddha's name. Amitabha, there are so many people in the Paji family, I can't know everyone. We had a meeting all day yesterday. I went back to sleep and just woke up and let you call me here again. He frowned. Maybe they're just passing by. Deji snorted coldly. Gesang, don't play dumb. We have sufficient evidence in our hands, and the people are in your Paji family. Blaspheming Buddhism and killing the guardian of Tantric Buddhism. Do you know how big a sin this is? What? Are you going to protect those demons? Paji Gesang shook his head. This is the first time I've heard of this matter. It needs to be investigated carefully. Let's do this. I will check it carefully after I go back. His face suddenly became serious. If I really find someone who did this kind of thing, our Paji family will never forgive him. Deji sneered in his heart. He knew that Paji Gesang would not hand over people so easily. But fortunately, he had made arrangements in advance. The people he sent out were all the best in Songjia Temple. If they dared not give the people to the Paji family in the name of Tantric Buddhism, the monks waiting at the border of the Paji family would directly attack the Paji family. Although the Paji family had a lot of manpower, they would eventually be timid when facing the monks of Songjia Temple. This was the influence of Tantric Buddhism. After all, no one wanted to go to the 18th level of hell after death. Deji snorted coldly. Even if this matter is investigated, your Paji family cannot escape responsibility. Delaying is useless. The truth will always come out, unless those demons can hide in your Paji family and not come out. Paji Gesang laughed. Why did Chiba say that? In my opinion, everything is a misunderstanding. Deji said angrily. Master of the Paji family, killing the Dharma protector Vajra of Songjia Temple, can this be a misunderstanding? Do you dare to say this to the Buddhas? Paji Gesang's eyes were a little hesitant. They grew up in the Snowy Plateau and had a devout belief in Tantric Buddhism. Maybe they did not follow the Buddhist doctrine, but they still had awe from the soul for the gods and Buddhas. Why did Chiba do this? I just think there must be something fishy about this matter, and it takes time to find out. Besides, the day of the Chuan Zhao Dharma Assembly is coming soon, and we have been preparing for it during this period. Don't let some trivial matters affect the convening of the Dharma Assembly. Deji and Paji Gesang exchanged sharp words. In fact, the truth of the matter was clear to both of them. The monks led by Luo Luan had already eliminated countless mercenaries who entered the snow region. If those people were strong enough, they would have killed Luo Luan and others long ago. Deji was just using this as an excuse to attack. The other two family heads were watching the show, but in their hearts, they were also very happy that Luo Luan and others were killed. After all, those were the lackeys of the Yashalangtai family, and the people invited by the other two families were also targeted by them. Deji sat on a chair, holding a rosary in his hand, and sighed. Alas, we, the four chieftain families, are of the same blood. We prosper together and suffer together. Now that the Chuanzhou Dharma Assembly is about to be held, we must not cause conflicts at this time. Now, the funeral master is blessed by the gods and Buddhas and has extraordinary power to protect our entire snowland. We should focus on the funeral master and serve him devoutly. But at present, the power of Songjia Temple is insufficient, and even the guardian Vajra was killed by the devil. How can this boost the confidence of the tantric believers? Deji said, looking at the three family heads with his eyes. Therefore, I propose that our four families contribute part of their power to the funeral master to strengthen the prestige of Songjia Temple, so as to deter the villains from the outside world. He raised his hand and said, My Yashalangtai family will make a statement first. I can contribute 1,000 warriors and 5,000 serfs, including everyone's weapons and supplies. At this point, the three family heads including Paji Gesang finally understood Deji's purpose. He wanted to use the name of the destruction of Luolan's team to ask the three families to hand over their troops and serfs. Nowadays, population and force represent power. This is equivalent to asking them to hand over their power. The faces of the three family heads became ugly. Such things have been done by the Yashalangtai family in the past, and the power of the three families has been slowly eroded. Now, the territory, troops, and population in their hands are less than half of what they will be when the end of the world comes. Yashalangtai Deji said it was nice that he took the lead in donating, but he himself was the Tripa of Songjia Monastery. No matter how much he donated, it was just money from his left pocket going into his right pocket, and it was still for his use. Paji Gesang glanced at Deji with a cold expression. Xiaja Jiatsua and Lumin Oju were also looking at him. The power of the Paji family was very strong, second only to the Yashalangtai family. If the funeral master was not from the Yashalangtai family, the Paji family would be the strongest force in the snowy plateau. In comparison, the Xiaja family and the Lumin family were relatively weak. The two were waiting for Paji Gesang's statement. Chapter 1282, Lure the Tiger Away from the Mountain. After Deji finished speaking, he looked at the three people present. Everyone, Songjia Temple needs your help. This is not an offering to anyone, but an offering to the gods and Buddhas. Who is in favor and who is against? The three people below looked at each other, and no one spoke first. Deji smiled slightly and looked at Paji Gesang. Master Paji, I have expressed my position and am willing to donate people and materials. I wonder what you think. Paji Gesang was named, and there was no way to remain silent. He laughed, looked at Deji, and said neither humbly nor arrogantly. The foundation of the Paji family has been passed down from our ancestors to the present. As a descendant, I dare not hand it over casually. But since the Triba has spoken, we are willing to donate more meat for the sacrifice. We can give some materials, but we must not give people. Deji's face turned cold. He did not expect Paji Gesang's attitude. In the past 2 years, Paji Gesang's momentum has become weaker and weaker when facing him. This made Deji think that the entire snowy plateau was under his control. Although the funeral master did not like to fight, he was a member of the Yashalangtai family after all. Even if he was just pretending to be a tiger, it would be enough to make the other three families afraid. But today, he found that Paji Gesang had changed. Deji did not understand where Paji Gesang got the confidence to directly reject his request. The request he made was not too high. 1,000 warriors and 5,000 serfs were just enough to make the three major families feel a little painful, but not to the point of breaking bones. In the past, he had always used this method to blunt the knife and pull the meat, eroding the power of the three major families bit by bit. But today, What happened to Pajigasang, who suddenly gave him the confidence to fight against himself? Deji frowned. His eyes were terribly cold. Luminoju and Xiaja Jiatsua did not expect Pajigasang to be so tough all of a sudden. Deji suddenly laughed. Master Paji, the things I mentioned are all offered to the Buddha. You don't want the Songjia temple to be embarrassed when the Chuanzhao Dharma assembly is held, right? Pajigasang smiled faintly. The gods and Buddhas are merciful and will not care about these trivial matters. We are all devout to the Buddha, and the Buddha will understand. Amit Ba. Deji suddenly chanted a Buddhist name loudly. He stared at Pajigasang coldly. Pajigasang, do you think you can represent the will of the Buddha, or can I? Pajigasang now has Zhang Yi's support, and he has the confidence in his heart. He leaned back in his chair and sneered. Chiba, you have been in this position for only 2 years. Can you represent the Buddha so soon? Deji was so angry at Pajigasang that he gritted his teeth. Okay. It seems that your Paji family is really going against Songjia Temple. Pajigasang stood up. We Paji family believe in Buddha devoutly, but we will not accept others to realize their own selfish desires in the name of Buddha. After saying that, Pajigasang left his seat and strode out of the Buddhist temple. The 3 people were stunned by this scene. Does the Pajigasang they know have such courage? Seeing this, Lumen Oju flashed a strange light in his eyes, as if he guessed something. If it weren't for the support of a powerful force, how could Pajigasang have such confidence? Deji angrily stretched out his hand and slammed it heavily on the table. Pajigasang was challenging his authority in person. If he didn't solve this problem properly, his majesty in the snow region would definitely be greatly reduced. Deji suddenly turned his head to look at Luminoju and Xiaja Jiatsua, and then narrowed his eyes coldly. Master Lumen, Master Xiaja, what is your attitude? Deji's anger was already undisguised. The two looked at each other and felt quite helpless. Their family power is far less than that of the Paji family. Even if the Yashalangtai family does not send out the funeral master, it will not be too difficult to destroy their family. What's more, there is a funeral master behind them. As a last resort, Xiaja Jiatsua took a deep breath and said, within 3 days, we will present these people and materials to Songjia Temple. Deji's expression eased a little, and then he looked at Luminoju, the only woman among the 4 family heads. Lumen family head, what about you? Luminoju's face was pale, not because of fear, but anger. But in front of Deji, she couldn't get angry. Gritting her teeth, she said coldly, our Lumen family will also offer these within 3 days. Deji raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. You are all smart people. Doing what I say is the most correct choice. Wait and see. Those who go against the will of gods and Buddhas will definitely pay the price for it. He put his hands behind his back, looking confident. Lumen Oju and Xiaja Gyatso looked at each other and knew that Deji would definitely take action against the Faji family. Although they were reluctant to spend resources, they were also looking forward to seeing the 2 big families of Yashalangtai and Faji fighting each other. They secretly looked forward to it, but they didn't know what would Deji do, and what was the basis for Pajigasang to confront Deji head-on. The city of Paji's family. The 3 Dharma protectors of Songjia Temple rushed straight to the courtyard of Paji's family as if they were in an empty space. However, these 3 people certainly could not pass through the heavy guards of Paji's family. Even the powerful Delta-level aliens could not stop the firepower network of tens of thousands of soldiers. However, they came from Songjia Temple, which is a sacred place in the hearts of all Tantric Buddhists. After those soldiers knew their identities and heard that the people who attacked the Dharma protectors were in Paji's family, they immediately lost the courage to resist. Even if some people pointed guns at the 3 people, they only dared to pretend, and few people dared to really shoot. After the butler Lebu got the news, his face was full of panic. A plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. He rushed to the residence of Zhang Yi and others and asked Zhang Yi and others to avoid the edge for a while. Everyone, please follow me to hide in the cellar. Paji's house is so big that they will leave naturally if they can't find you, Lebu said to Zhang Yi. Hearing this, Zhang Yi smiled and raised his eyebrows. Looking for me? Interesting. But there's nothing to hide, right? But Lebby was about to say something, but Zhang Yi reached out and patted his shoulder. Since they want to come here to look for someone, do you think you can hide? Among the aliens, there are those who are good at searching, and there are also those who can control the mind and make people speak the truth. There must be such people among the people coming from the other side. If they didn't have accurate information, how could they come to the door so openly? Zhang Yi doesn't cause trouble, but he is not afraid of trouble. He is a high-paid mercenary hired by the Pudge family. He has received benefits from them, so he has to do something, right? Chapter 1283 Zhang Yi, you are a devil. The three guardians of Songjia Temple, led by Muchuan, came to the huge courtyard of the Page family. They stood outside the main gate and demanded that the Page family hand over the murderer who killed Loren and others. This made the Page family's private soldiers very embarrassed. The private soldiers with the strongest force would certainly not let these people enter the Page family. But these three guardians are the top combat forces of Songjia Temple. With their abilities, they can't stop them at all. What's more, they also have some concerns and dare not really kill these people. Everyone, please hand over the murderer and maintain the dignity of Tantra. Muchuan put his hands together and said to the private soldiers at the door, with a pious face. The private soldiers' commander-in-chief, Cheongda, blocked the main gate with a demon-subduing pestle in his hand, with a solemn face. Master, our master is not here. Please go back. Muchuan sighed lightly. Exorcising demons and defending the way is the duty of my tantric followers. Have you even forgotten this? The old monk behind him said lightly, do you also want to become an accomplice of the devils? Cheongda's face suddenly became very ugly. Once he is given this title, it will be difficult for him to survive in the snow region in the future. You know, the Paji family can maintain its current rule by relying on Tantric Buddhism to maintain its prestige among the people. Once they are labeled as cooperating with the devil, there will be big problems inside. Cheongda clenched the demon-subduing pestle in his hand, and he didn't know how to deal with this kind of trouble. If he really wanted to fight, he couldn't beat the three Dharma protectors in front of him. He knew Muchuan's strength, which was far above him. The key is that they came to the door for a legitimate reason, and Cheongda had no way to take action. At this time, a cold voice came from inside the door. I heard someone is looking for me. As soon as the words fell, a stern man walked out of the door. He was wearing a black combat uniform and looked at the three monks in robes in front of him with interest. Muchuan and the other two looked at Zhang Yi. They recognized at a glance that this was the leader of the mercenaries who killed Luo Luan and others. Muchuan's face suddenly turned cold. Are you the demon who killed my tantric dharma protector? The old monk Zongbu put his hands together and silently chanted the Buddha's name. Amitabha, the donor has too much demonic energy. We must exorcise the demon. Another monk Ashina said to Zhang Yi in a muffled voice, come with us. You have been possessed by the devil. Only if we help you complete the exorcism ceremony can you restore your kindness. A sneer appeared at the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. He was labeled a demon right away. What a great official power. But in Tantric Buddhism, this approach is indeed very effective. After the three monks said this, some people around actually looked at Zhang Yi with strange eyes. The influence of Tantric Buddhism is too great. Even the private soldiers of the Paji family, there are many people who believe the words of the monks of Songjia Temple. The butler Lebu looked at Zhang Yi with a worried look on his face. But Zhang Yi told him when he came that he didn't need to worry, and he could handle everything himself. Zhang Yi walked forward step by step, past Cheongda, and said lightly, what demon? Are you talking about the demons that blocked the road and were killed by me? Don't worry, I have helped you solve those guys. From now on, the road from the snowy plateau to the outside world will be unobstructed. Ashina shouted, demon! Nonsense, you killed my Tantric Dharma protector Vajra. He was a pious person who protected the peace of the snowy plateau, but you killed him. Since you have admitted it yourself, there is nothing to say. Come with us immediately and accept the exorcism ceremony. This is your only way back. The old monk chanted the Buddha's name, but Zhang Yi felt that three forces were secretly locking him. It seemed that if he resisted, these three people would attack him mercilessly and kill him. Zhang Yi raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Oh, exorcism ceremony? Are you planning to use lynching? Muchuan scolded. Nonsense. I am a Buddhist sect that is dedicated to goodness, and I have compassion even for evildoers like you. As long as you accept the exorcism ceremony and can put down the butcher knife and become a Buddha on the spot, we can give you a chance to repent. Zhang Yi sneered in his heart. These guys from these sects just like to take off their pants and fart. Obviously, everyone knows that they have bad intentions, and they also know that Zhang Yi knows that they have bad intentions, but they still have to cover it up in a high-sounding way. Zhang Yi nodded. Okay, I can go with you. Lebu widened his eyes and lowered his voice to say to them, My noble man, you can't go with them. Lebu was dumbfounded. He thought Zhang Yi was going to come out and fight against the three Dharma protectors with the people of the Pudge family. Although the three people are strong, he can vaguely guess one or two of Zhang Yi's abilities. As long as Zhang Yi and others take action, plus the strange people of the Pudge family, it is not impossible to subdue these three people. But if Zhang Yi wanted to go with them, the situation would change completely. My dear, you can't trust them. The so-called exorcism ritual is nothing but torture, and may even harm your life. Lebu whispered in Zhang Yi's ear. He whispered, winking at him desperately. Zhang Yi smiled slightly. I believe these three are Buddhist monks and will not deceive me. Besides, I can't bear to see you in conflict with the three monks. If that happens, won't it bring trouble to the Paji family? Zhang Yi lowered his voice and said to Lebu, We can't fight here. Otherwise, it will give Songjia Temple a reason to go to war directly. At that time, the funeral master will take action because of these three monks. Lebu was shocked and looked at Zhang Yi with gratitude. Unexpectedly, this nobleman actually considered the Paji family to such an extent. He didn't know that Zhang Yi just didn't want to expose his strength in front of so many people. How can we not accept the prey that is delivered to the door? Zongbu chanted the Buddha's name. Amitba, don't worry. As long as you accept our exorcism ceremony and turn over a new leaf, we will never hurt you. Zhang Yi nodded. Thank you, senior monks, but I think there are some things we can talk about. The three monks sneered in their hearts, but still agreed. Zhang Yi walked over with an orange civet cat sitting on his shoulder, which looked harmless. The three monks did not take the cat seriously. Muchuan put his hands together, and a snowstorm instantly surged around the four people. In an instant, the four people disappeared from the spot. Lebu looked at the direction they were going away, and while he was grateful for Zhang Yi's righteousness, he stamped his feet and quickly sent a message to Paji Gesang. Master, something big has happened. The nobleman you invited back was taken away by the monks of Songjia Temple. Paji Gesang was on his way back at this time. Hearing this, his eyes widened and then laughed. Chapter 1284, Subduing Demons and Evil Spirits. Zhang Yi followed Muchuan and the other two and left Paki's house. Soon after, they came to another temple in Sala City, Dachuan Temple. Muchuan and the other two had no expression on their faces. They didn't even look at Zhang Yi, let alone use any tools on him. In their eyes, Zhang Yi had no ability to resist them at this time and could only obey their orders. In fact, they did have such confidence. After all, these three people were top-notch players in the entire Songjia Temple. Otherwise, they would not be qualified to become the most trusted fighting force around Yashaling Taideji. In Tantra, it is different from the outside world. The power that can probably be called faith can give them special blessings. Leaving the snowy plateau, their strength will be greatly reduced, but as long as they are on the territory of this tantric sect, their strength will increase at an unimaginable speed. This is why, with only a group of monks in Songjia Temple, they can suppress the entire southwest region and make it unable to raise its head. Zhang Yi did not speak, and followed them all the way to Dachuan Temple. He also wanted to see what these tantric monks who pretended to be mysterious were trying to do. After the three brought Zhang Yi to Dachuan Temple, they took him to the huge and empty courtyard at the back. There was a nearly abandoned pagoda here, which was riddled with holes, and even the top of the pagoda had collapsed. The three took Zhang Yi into the pagoda. Zhang Yi took a look around and felt that there seemed to be some special formation under his feet. Although Zhang Yi was confident, he had always been vigilant. Otherwise, he would not have brought Hua here and would not have opened, tracing all things all the time to see around. However, he did not feel any danger, and the perception of the mind field for the surrounding 5 kilometers did not make him feel the existence of Epsilon-level combat power. Very good, Zhang Yi thought with a smile in his heart. The three monks surrounded Zhang Yi in the center. Master Muchuan faced Zhang Yi, clasped his hands together, and chanted the Buddha's name. Amitabha, the demonic nature of the donor is too strong. You should put down your butcher knife and become a Buddha right now. It's not too late to repent early. Zhang Yi looked at him with a compassionate face and suddenly asked with a smile, "Put down the butcher knife and become a Buddha right now?" "Master, what does it mean?" Muchuan said calmly, "My Tantric Buddhism teaches the world and saves all living beings. If you want to repent, you just need to join my Tantric Buddhism. I, Muchuan, can shave your head for you." As he said this, he actually slowly took out a razor from his wide sleeves. Zhang Yi just thought it was funny. After all this fuss, these people actually want him to be a monk? He smiled and asked, "But I still have a wife, and I don't want to become a monk so early." Muchuan said again, "Amitabha, the demonic nature of you is too strong. If you don't become a monk early, I'm afraid you will really fall into the Azura path. Donor, you should become a monk as soon as possible." As he said this, Muchuan was about to walk towards Zhang Yi with a razor. Zhang Yi chuckled, "Sorry, I have no intention of becoming a monk." The faces of the three people changed immediately. The old monk Zongbu pointed at Zhang Yi angrily. "It seems that the devil in you can no longer be controlled. Evil demon, I will give you one last chance to repent. Join Songjia Temple and repent sincerely. Everything is still in time." Zhang Yi had already seen the purpose of these people at this time. He killed Luo Luan and showed his strength. So the people of Songjia Temple tried to recruit him. After all, it is not so easy to train a captain-level alien, especially when they think that Zhang Yi is a senior captain-level alien. Zhang Yi sneered and asked back, "If you don't submit, are you evil demons?" Ashina scolded with an angry face, "You killed my Tantric Dharma protector Vajra. What else can you be, if not an evil demon? I give you a chance, so take it well, otherwise we will have to subdue the demons." The corners of Zhang Yi's mouth curled up slightly. "That's a really good argument. But I'm sorry, you want me to join the Tantric sect? You're not worthy." Zhang Yi smiled coldly. "Not to mention you. Even if your master of the funeral comes, he doesn't have the qualifications." As soon as these words came out, the three people's faces showed anger. In the entire southwest region, who dares to say such treasonous words? It is an unforgivable sin to slander the patron saint of the Tantric sect in front of them. You are really evil and difficult to save. It seems that today's demon-killing ceremony has to be performed. Amitabha, let us save you from the lost path." The old monk Zongbu looked compassionate, but the next moment he stretched out his right hand, and a loud, clattering sound was heard in an instant. Golden chains flew out from his sleeves, and in an instant they enveloped all the space around Zhang Yi and entangled towards Zhang Yi's body. Zhang Yi didn't waste any words and immediately took out a long and narrow adamantium knife from the back of the Qinling armor. Black flames shot up into the sky. With just one strike, the thousands of golden chains shattered. Zhang Yi stood in the black flames, wearing black armor and holding a long sword. He really looked like a demon from hell. Although the three of them were prepared and knew that the person who could kill Luo Luan would not be weak, the power displayed by Zhang Yi still made the three of them people were a little surprised. Zongbu's chant chain is a top-level ability to bind people, but it couldn't stop Zhang even for a moment. Hua next to Zhang Yi said, "I'll play with them. You're responsible for raiding the formation." In order to hide his identity, Zhang Yi has never used the power of space that he is good at. Now he fights with people as a fire-type melee alien. But even so, he is not a match for ordinary Delta. Zhang Yi raised the long knife in his hand, which was burning with dark flames. The blade turned and slowly swept towards the three people around him. Let me see today how much weight you hypocritical monks have. Muchuan's eyes finally burst into a fierce intention. Evil demon, don't be so rampant. The three of them retreated in unison to avoid Zhang Yi's blade. Muchuan held a string of prayer beads in both hands, put his palms together, and chanted something. The next moment, the wind and clouds changed color, and a giant tornado swept over the earth, mixed with violent ice and snow, directly covering the area where Zhang Yi was. Zongbu chanted the Buddha's name, and endless golden light bloomed from behind him, and the shadow of a Buddha statue slowly emerged. Hualala dash! Countless golden chains spread out from the Buddha statue, and the chains transformed by supernatural power filled the entire space, locking Zhang Yi in the storm. Facing these powerful attacks, Zhang Yi tried for the first time not to use the power of space, but simply to fight back with the power of the void. Chapter 1285 Don't Call Me Devil. On the long sword, the power of the void turned into a dark flame, burning fiercely. It burned more and more fiercely in the huge storm tornado. The ice and snowstorm fell from the sky, connecting the earth, and the entire Dachuan temple was torn to pieces in an instant. The golden light penetrated the storm and rushed straight to Zhang Yi along the track of the storm. The three Dharma protectors cooperated tacitly. It was not the first time that they used this method to wipe out the pagans who did not obey the Tantric Buddhism. The mighty power of heaven was extremely amazing. Seeing this, the monks and serfs in the distance had already prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling and shouting, "Miracle! Gods and Buddhas appear." But suddenly, a black crack appeared from the huge ice and snowstorm. A narrow and long crack that penetrated the sky and the earth, rushing straight from the sky to the ground. It was a black blade light, and the dark flames forcibly cut through the ice and snow tornado, and also broke the chain of Zongbu's chanting. In an instant, all the strange phenomena between heaven and earth disappeared. Only a dilapidated ruin was left. Zhang Yi stood still. The surroundings had already been shattered. Only the space under his feet was intact. Seeing this scene, the pupils of Muchuan and the other two suddenly shrank. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. They couldn't believe what they saw. These three people were all Delta-level aliens with extremely high superpower indexes, and Muchuan's superpower index was as high as 9,800 points. With the three of them working together, it would be difficult for any alien who was not an Epsilon-level alien to escape their control.
Moo.
At this moment, Ashina, who had not made a move, suddenly made a long and distant cry. His body crawled on the ground, and a violent cloud of smoke and snow rose up. From the smoke and dust, a giant yak with a height of dozens of meters appeared. It had 6 legs, 8 eyes, a red gold body, high bulging muscles, and mysterious tantric Sanskrit mantras on its skin. The Yak King stepped on the ground with his front hoof, and the surrounding ground shook violently and then exploded instantly. The impact from the dark also shattered the ground under Zhang Yi's feet. His feet were empty, and he fell to the ground. You can control the power of the earth. Zhang Yi understood everything immediately. A huge pit appeared directly under his feet, and the earth was shattered. Even if he wanted to climb up, he had no chance. At this moment, a huge shadow flashed above Zhang Yi's head. The giant Yak King rushed to his head, and then fell directly with the posture of Mount Tai pressing down on his head. Oh, interesting. He had to praise that the strength of these 3 people was indeed extraordinary. No wonder only 3 people dared to come to Pudge's house to take people. The 3 people were very strong, and they were very capable of long-range, close combat, offense, defense, and control. No matter what kind of opponent they met, they had a good way to deal with it. And now Zhang Yi fell to the ground, and there was no place to stand. Human power comes from the earth. If your feet cannot touch the ground, even if you have a strong power, you can't play it. Naturally, Zhang Yi had no way to use slashing. But it's a pity. The person they met today was Zhang Yi. The Yak King fell into a deep pit and was about to crush Zhang Yi to death. Even if he couldn't be crushed to death, Mu Chuan and Zongbu came quickly. As long as Zongbu's chains bound Zhang Yi's body, he would lose all resistance. At that time, he would either choose to surrender to Songjia Temple or choose to die. However, before Mu Chuan and Zongbu got close, they saw a dark fire rising into the sky. Like a huge crescent moon, it tore the sky apart. Puff! Along with the black moon, there was also a bloody rain and Ashina's extremely shrill cry. His huge body, indestructible body, was actually cut off from the waist and abdomen. The firm yak meat was exposed, and after seeing it, people didn't feel bloody, but actually had a feeling of increased appetite. Of course, this was just the appearance of the supernatural power. Otherwise, Zhang Yi really wanted to cut off 2 pieces and take them back to taste. Ashina was cut in half, and the wailing was extremely shrill, which made Mu Chuan and Zongbu's foreheads sweat. After Ashina's giant body, its defense is very strong. Even artillery can't leave any marks on him. He was actually cut in half by that guy. Ashina is not a fool, but he didn't expect that Zhang Yi could exert force in midair. Zhang Yi soared into the sky from Ashina's 2 halves and stepped on his body to return to the ground. He looked into the pit and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. I don't have enough experience in close combat. If I hadn't activated the power of space just now, I'm afraid I would have been crushed by him. He has always been accustomed to using the power of space to fight firearms. It's a bit uncomfortable to suddenly change his fighting style. Ashina is an orc-type ability user with extremely tenacious vitality. He didn't die even if he was cut in half. But this is not necessarily a kind of luck, but a huge cruelty. Mu Chuan and Zongbu seeing this, he was already horrified by the person in front of him. Who are you? Zongbu subconsciously took a few steps back, looking at Zhang Yi in black armor. It was really like seeing a devil. Me? Zhang Yi held a bloody long knife in his right hand. The tip of the knife dragged on the ground, and the blood of Ashina, which was still steaming, flowed. He smiled slightly. I am a devil. Devil. Mu Chuan and Zongbu already knew that they had to fight to the death now. The person in front of them, I am afraid that only the funeral master can surrender in the entire southwest region. But now, they can't wait for the funeral master's support. Mu Chuan shouted loudly, and the sky in the area of thousands of meters in radius was filled with dark clouds, storms surged, and thick ice and snow on the ground rose, blocking the sight in front of them. Zongbu drove out his golden chain again. He pressed his hands on the ground, and golden chains came from the ground to Zhang Yi. But Zhang Yi's face had no expression. The abilities of these 2 people are indeed very interesting, but in his eyes, these 2 people are like transparent people, and all their methods are seen by him clearly. The long sword in his hand turned, and the sharp blade made a pleasant dragon roar in the biting cold wind. You are too weak, not fun at all, Zhang Yi said, and casually swung the long sword in his hand forward. The dark power of the void spread out from his palm, flickering and jumping like a flame, spreading silently. It seemed to be extremely slow, but in an instant, like a wildfire, thousands of meters-long black flames swept across the fan-shaped space in front of him. Swish dash. In an instant, the whole world that was originally restless was quiet. Thanks for staying tuned. This video ends here, and more to come soon. Please like and subscribe if not already.